Hi friends, welcome to Making All the Plans. I'm Connie, and if we haven't met before, I'm a busy mom of two active kids, and both my husband and I have full-time careers. My goal is to share with you how I stay on top of all life throws at me in one planner system so that you might be able to do the same. The two key components that kept me on track last year were my Hobonichi Cousin, where I took care of all of my daily planning. I didn't really use the monthly or the weekly pages in this planner, but that's what I used my full-size disc-bound planner for. I liked this planner because I could add things and pull things out as I needed to. I had lots of tabs, 12 to be exact, where I was constantly moving things in and out. And I just used these clear tabs. And to be honest, the system in general did work for me. So I will be making some tweaks for this year. However, the system in general is staying the same. But I hope you stick around and walk through this Frankenplanner setup with me. I did contemplate using the same Martha Stewart planner cover as last year, but I thought I would mix things up for a little bit. So I'm going back to the LaFleur cover for the notes pages from Happy Planner. And this is older, you can't get it anymore, but I don't mind reusing what I already have. At the end of the year, I am willing to put my planner pages in pretty much whatever. I don't have to keep the parts together. At the end of the year, I usually pull my planner apart and keep certain sections, throw other sections away, but I will put them back together with less expensive discs and covers. So starting out this year, I will have my LaFleur Notes cover as well as rose gold metal discs. I do apologize for the glare, but it's kind of hard to avoid on these particular covers. Next up are these translucent tabs. I do really like the semi-clear tabs. They're not perfectly clear, but they also don't get scratched. These have been used in a previous year, so there may be a few scuffs on them, but again, I am not opposed to using planner parts over and over again as long as they're still in fairly good condition. I did already think about what order I wanted my tabs to be in this year. I am switching a few things up, so I have printed those out on my label maker. They are just on clear labels so that they're not so in your face when you put them on the tabs. I do chain print my labels normally, or pretty much anything. I try to chain print because I really try to conserve the labels. I go through those pretty quickly, so anytime I can avoid printing extra white space that I'm not even going to be using, I would rather chain print them and cut them by hand instead of using the cutter on the printer. But as I mentioned, I did make a few changes to the section breakdown for my planner this year. So this year, my planner sections are monthly, weekly, trackers, routines, and goals. So those are the first five, and they are staying the same as they were from last year. And then I'm adding in a new section for my long-term goals. I feel like I'm losing sight of those long-term goals when I only pick 3 goals per quarter. And I will talk about this a little bit more in the next video, but even though I do still want to have a quarterly focus, I can't lose sight of the other goals. I can't continue to just ignore certain areas of my life for months upon months upon months if they don't make the cut of the top 3. So those are the first 6 sections of my planner, and my tab set has 6 tabs per set. And so then my 7th tab or my 7th section is for making all the plans. And I'm very happy that it's back at the top again. It had been at the top for a few years, so it got confusing that last year it was at the bottom of the first set of 6. So now that making all the plans is going to be at the top of the second set of tabs, it makes me so happy. It's just those little things that make things flow a little better. So I'm very happy that this shift is making things align correctly. So after making all the plans, I have a home section, a financial section, a memory keeping section, a reference section, and a note section. And the only thing that I lost from last year was the travel section. And I decided that I didn't need that anymore because I was dealing with everything that was travel related virtually. So I didn't need a section in my planner for it anymore. So let's skip ahead to where I have all of the tabs ready to go, and let's start actually filling in these sections. So the very first thing that I have is a hello, my name is page, and I did just go ahead and create this myself. It's for 2026. I will come back in and write my name in at some point, and thankfully it's low pressure because if I mess it up, I can just print out another sheet and start again. For the most part, everything will need to be punched in order to go into my notebook. I will say that there are a few things that I will be moving over from my old planner to my new planner so that I don't have to recreate them or reprint them. On the back of my name page, I do have a 2026 and 2027 year at a glance page. It is helpful in a lot of situations, so I do like to have that at my fingertips. The first thing that I'm dropping into my planner are my monthly pages. These pages are from SquairdPlans. I did go ahead and print my own cover sheet because I thought the one for this year was too busy, but it comes with a cover sheet, it comes with an end sheet, so you can just print them out and it is ready to go. Although I don't use heavier paper for everything in my planner, these pages that I'm putting in right now all have the heavier paper to them. I just like them because these are pages that will be in my planner for the entire year. So I just want them to be able to hold up. I don't want to have to reprint them again later. However, that also means that only 2 to 3 sheets can go in the punch at a time. So it will take me a minute or two to get through punching everything that needs to go into my planner. The other things that I do like about the SquairdPlans layout is the boxes are quite large. They're kind of like Happy Planner size. The thing that I love the most about them is you can get them with a Monday start. It was always messing me up when my monthly calendar would start on Sunday and my weekly calendar would start on Monday. There were so many times where I would have to redo my monthly pages because I got confused about where things were. I live my life Monday through Sunday, so I am so grateful to have found a calendar that is simple and basic but starts on a Monday. She does also have monthly calendars that start on Sunday if that is your preference. But everything that I'm using, if it's still available, I will link it in the description box down below. Next up is my weekly planner spreads. I do typically use a weekly planner spread from SquairdPlans. However, I have not exactly decided what I'm using, so I am just going to skip to the next section until I decide which planner pages I want to use for my weekly section. So next up are my trackers. I will probably use some of the same ones from this year. However, without setting my goals, I don't know exactly what I want to put in this section. The same with routines and resets. I will probably use something similar as I used this year. However, I want to go through them and make sure that they are matching up with the goals that I'm setting. So I will go ahead and put the sheet in, but I don't really have anything for that section yet. And that is the same with a lot of these sections, but I like to have the skeleton set up so that it's much easier to come in and drop things in as I complete them. I also like to have the things that I touch most frequently close to the front. So that's why I'm going from most granular to the most broad. I feel like the monthly pages ground me, and then my weekly spreads, I am checking in with multiple times a week. My trackers, I'm checking in with at least once a week. Routines, again, at least once a week. Goals, at least once a month. And then those longer term goals will be more like once a quarter or once every few months. My second set of tabs I treat more like reference pages. That even includes my making all the plans section. Most of my content calendar items live in Notion. However, I like to have a paper copy of those. Sometimes I need to actually write things out in order to make them work in my head. This is the same monthly calendar that I use for my monthly section, again from Squared Plans. They are just easy printables that are clean and classic and easy to use. The only thing that I don't like about certain monthly calendars is how some of them have to share 2 days in one box. And it looks like there are a few times that that happens in 2026, which is kind of annoying, but it is life and something that you just have to deal with unless you want to shrink your boxes way down. So I'm going to just go with the flow and be okay with it. But this is another reason why I tend to buy printables. This way I can use this and print this as many times as I want. And if I were to mess up my content calendar, guess what? I just print a new copy of these pages. Any friction I can take away from being afraid to use my planner or afraid to mess it up, I will do that. Next up is my home section, and I am going to go ahead and pull over a page from my current planner. The page that I'm pulling out, I did do as a free printable, so I will link that down below as well. But this just lays out all the tasks that I need to do around the house each quarter in order to hit all of those big items at least once a year. And those include things like deep cleaning the oven, mulching, inspecting the attic, bringing in the hoses before it freezes, all those types of things. For the next section, the financial section, most of this I do track digitally and take care of digitally. However, I do like to have one place where I can track paying all of the bills and just seeing what income is coming in and what is going out each month. And although this is not the exact tracker that I use, this is very similar to what I use. And then I will just print one out for each month. However, I do need to make a few tweaks because our accounts changed a little bit. So I will make those tweaks and go ahead and print those out for this section. I am going to go ahead and keep my memory keeping section in my planner. I did not use it at all last year, but I'm going to carry it forward one more year and see if I can't get something going there. I am a scrapbooker and would really like to dedicate some time to it in the year ahead. This last section is reference, and it is for things like school calendars and all of the kids' classes and things like that that I need to track. I keep that all in this section. I will go ahead and move what I have over from this year into the planner for the upcoming year so I don't have to recreate anything. Other things that I do like to put in here include things like birthdays, although those are mostly digital now, so I don't know that I'll do that. And then definitely dinner ideas, so that when I'm putting my meal plan together for the month, I have some ideas. I do have a notes section, but really what this section is just blank pages that I can grab to write notes on. I don't actually keep notes in this section. So in this section, I'll just drop a couple different kinds of notes pages, whatever I'm enjoying using at the current time. So I do have this notes dot grid page that I'll put in, and then I just have a lined sheet as well. And I'll put a couple of each in, and then if I get bored with these or I want to change it up, I'll take these out and put different notes pages in. The last thing that I realize that I'm missing is I like to have a folder so that anything that I need to put in my planner, but I don't have the punch handy, I can slip in the folder and punch and put in my planner later. I only have two of these folders, so I'm going to steal it from the planner that I currently am using since it's almost the end of the year. The other one that I have is in my work planner, and when I put this in, I realize it's a little bit wider than the cover is. So I may end up trying to swap it out with the one I have in my work planner. I'm not sure if it's the same size or a little bit longer. I know it's hard to tell here, but it is overlapping the cover a little bit, and I think it's really going to get beat up if I leave it in this planner. Right now, I will leave it in the planner since I'm not moving it around much. It's just sitting on my desk waiting to continue to be built, but I think I'll end up having to swap this out at a future date. So this is my full-size disc bound planner. Next up, I'm going to work on putting my Hobonichi Cousin together. Over Black Friday, I was able to grab a 2025 Hobonichi Cousin on deep, deep discount. So I have been okay with redating this year, and I think I'm just going to continue to redate in the year ahead. And mostly that's because I don't necessarily use a single page a day anyway. Some days I use a 2-page spread. Some days I use 1 page, and other days I use no pages at all. So I think I picked up this cousin for about $26 on Black Friday, which is a huge discount. It's more than half off the original price. So I don't feel like if I don't use every page that it's awful. It is really a system that's been working for me over the past year, so I definitely want to continue it. I also really liked how I had my Hobonichi Cousin covered last year, so I want to go ahead and carry that forward this year as well. And unfortunately, my brain was not working 100% when I was trying to figure out the dimensions of the cover and how big or how small I needed to cut it. I do like to leave the space that has the binding on it so it doesn't go all the way to the edge of the spine, I think it's called. So I like to leave a little bit of a gap. So this is actually my second go around of cutting this paper, and I was measuring multiple times in order to make sure that I cut it right. The other problem is that when I cut it with my paper cutter, it doesn't always cut exactly on the line, which is always frustrating, but I feel like no matter what paper cutter I have, it's always the same. It's always off just a little bit. So I would just buy a new paper trimmer, but I think I would have the same problem no matter which paper trimmer I had. Once I have the outline of where I want it cut done, I also hold it up to the Hobonichi Cousin just to triple check that I got the dimensions correct. And it's a little hard to tell. I tried to tuck it into the Hobonichi Cousin as well. It looks like it's right, so I'm going to go ahead and cut this paper down. I do use a Fiskars paper trimmer and I really do like it, except when I don't use it often, I forget exactly how to line things up in order for it to actually cut on my line. I'm sure you can't see the wire guideline, but if I put the line right on the wire guideline, it does not cut right on my line. So I always forget which way I need to shift the paper in order for it to get lined up perfectly. Since I have not been scrapbooking and the only crafting that I do is pretty much decorating my planner pages. So fingers crossed, I cut this to the right size this time, and I am using that beige texty side and not the circle side. It does look like it's going to fit almost perfectly. I will have to do a little bit of trimming, but it's better to be slightly too big than too small. The next thing I'm doing is just grabbing my tape runner. I do have this giant one since I am a scrapbooker, but any tape runner or glue would work. I do prefer tape in general because it doesn't make the page warp because of the wetness of the glue. I am going to try to get the tape as close to the edges of the paper as possible so that it doesn't start to come up on the edges. I'm also putting ample tape across the entire back of the paper. When I do go to put it on top of the cover, I am just going to line it up with the edge of the spine. There is like a little ridge there where you can push it up against the edge and it makes a near perfect straight line. And then I am just going to rub it down thoroughly so that it adheres well, and I can heat up that glue a little bit and just get it to adhere well to the cover. As I mentioned, I really like the look of last year's cover, so I'm going to do something similar. Unfortunately, I don't have my 2026 sticker yet, so I'm going to have to leave a little bit of space for it, but for the most part, it will look very similar to last year's cover. I knew that I wanted to keep it calm, and I thought that if I went with that like tealy green and then the pink and then a little bit of that terracotta color, that that would be plenty of color for my cover this year. So I do have the floral from Live Love Posh. Then I have that plant. I don't know where I got it from, but if I can figure it out, I will link it down below. I have that cute girl with the bow in her hair. And then I have 3 quote stickers that say, "She believed she could, so she did. Practically perfect in every way. And nevertheless, she persisted." I had ordered a bunch of stickers as options, but one set got put in a neighbor's mailbox, one was delayed, and then one I was pretty sure it wouldn't make it in time. But I will have plenty of stickers to choose from for next year, but I was kind of bummed that they weren't here for this year's cover. I did just move them around until I liked where they were placed, and now I will struggle with getting the backings off of the stickers and putting them down. Again, I am leaving a little bit of a space for that 2026 planner that is coming. I did order it from Coffee Monsters Co. like I did last year, but for some reason I thought I'd already ordered a 2026. And when I realized at Thanksgiving that I didn't have that sticker yet, I did go ahead and place an order, but I know that her stickers take a while to get here. After some struggling, I do grab my poker tool so that I can poke it through the backing and pull off the backing and just be left with the sticker. I hate using the poker tool because I'm always afraid that I'm going to poke it through the front of the sticker as well, but I didn't really have another choice because I could not get the backing off. But instead of making you watch me struggle through that, this will be my finished cover. Again, I loved how my cover looked last year, so I am just replicating it again this year and leaving that space for my 2026. The other thing that I used from Coffee Monsters Co. last year were the tabs for the months. I am going to go ahead and use the monthly tabs again, but instead of putting all of them in, I am only going to put January in. That way, if I use fewer pages than the month is long, I will start February early. And if I use more pages than January holds, then I will just move that February tab back a little bit further. It does seem a little wasteful that I am not using almost the first half of the planner, but again, I did get this for more than half off the original price. So I'm okay with using it how I need to use it and just letting those other areas be. It does take me a minute to remember how to get these tabs on. It's not hard, but I couldn't remember how they lined up with the page itself. So once I figured that out, we were good to go. Hopefully, I won't have that struggle every month as I put the new month's tab in. The other thing that I did to my old Hobonichi Cousin was put the date on the spine so that I knew that that was my 2025 Hobonichi Cousin. And I am also going to go ahead and put a 2026 label on the spine of my new Hobonichi Cousin. And if it peels off, it's okay. I'll just print another one, but at least I know that I'm grabbing the correct one when they're up on my shelf. I don't tend to keep my planners and notebooks. However, since I am on YouTube, I do keep them for a little bit, and I will probably keep the old Hobonichi Cousin for at least a year just so I can reference back how I was using it in case I forget different things that I've done. So again, this is the skeleton of my planner for now. If you're interested in seeing me build out the other parts, plan out long-term goals, break them into quarterly goals, etc., go ahead and like and subscribe. And if you want to be notified of any upcoming videos, go ahead and hit that notification bell. But I know as 2026 quickly approaches, these are the things that I need to do to set myself up for a successful year ahead. So if you're interested, I hope you follow along. I would love for you to let me know down below what system you are using this year or what pieces to your system are you using this year. But as we finish up December, I hope that everyone is not only productive, but finds time to rest as well. Have a great week, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.